Explain which approach, Peircean semiotic or Buchanan's rhetoric, is more conducive to analysis of iconic representation and mnemonic devices, as these two design principles are discussed and developed by Lidwell. So what concepts make up Peircean semiotics? We have the representative, the interpretant, and the object. Similar to the signifier, the representative is the form that the sign takes and is not necessarily material. The interpretant is the sense made of the sign. While similar to the signifier, it is different in that the interpreter is also a sign. It is a sign produced by the mind as a result of the representative. And finally, the object, which is what the sign refers to. The relationship between all three is known as sign or semiosis, the process by which meaning is transferred, coded, and decoded. Next, we will take a look at Buchanan's rhetoric, which includes logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos, which is the logical appeal, is design's ability to do the job that is intended to do. In other words, usefulness. Ethos is the character appeal, persuading based on the personality of the design. In other words, desirability. And pathos, the emotional appeal, how the audience reacts to it mentally. In other words, usability. All three equal to design as rhetoric. And this allows design to be a mode of communication. Next, we move to iconic representation, which is the use of pictorial images to improve the recognition and recall of signs and controls. There are four types of these icons. First is similar icons, which refers to images that are visually representative of an action, concept, and object. For example, a right turn signal, which refers to an arrow pointing right. The next is example icons, which refers to images that are commonly associated with the action, concept, or object. It's good for representing complex concepts, such as a sign for an airport. It uses an airplane. Symbolic icons are those that refer to images that are abstractions of an action, concept, or object. Effective when the action, concept, and object involves an easily recognizable object, such as an electrical sign that uses a thunderbolt. And lastly, we have arbitrary icons. These are images that have little or no relationship with the action, concept, or object. They should be used when trying to develop industry standard icons, since the relationship between the icon and what it's representing has to be learned. For example, icons representing male and female. So how does this relate to Peircean semiotics? Icons act as the representative, which refer to an object. Audiences produce an interpretant from viewing the icon, and the icon is a sign as a result. Audience is in charge of making connection between the icon and what it's supposed to signify. The interpreter is very important when it comes to icons because icons can mean very different things depending on who the interpreter is. Very few icons are universally understood. What may be an electrical sign to some may be a Harry Potter sign to others. Next, we move to mnemonic devices, a method of recognizing information to make the information easier to remember. There are four examples of this. First is first letter. First letter of items in a list are put together as an acronym or as a sentence. For example, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally for the order of arithmetic operations. The next is keyword. A word or phrase that is linked to a bridging image is used. For example, Aflac, a company name that sounds like quack, so it uses an image of a duck. Number 3 is rhyme. What needs to be remembered is put into a rhyme. Example, I before E except after C. Number 4, feature name. Similar to keyword, but the word is actually related to a feature of what needs to be remembered. For example, a Volkswagen Beetle is shaped like a real beetle, which acts as a bridging image to remember the name. So how does this relate to Buchanan's rhetoric? Design as rhetoric is the art of effective or persuasive design. So the main objective is to make the icon universally known. In mnemonic devices, objective of information design is to appeal to audiences so that it is memorable. Our conclusion after all the information given is abduction. Abduction is the process of forming an explanatory hypothesis. So here's ours. Rhetoric used as a persuasive argument. Iconic representation plus semiotics. It needs to be analyzed rhetorically to design an effective design persuasion, but it does not leave space to ensure interpretation of the design. Semiotics used for interpretation. To resolve the shortcomings of Buchanan's rhetoric, Peircean semiotics can serve as an interpretant to make a connection between individual and design. So we can conclude that rhetoric, which is induction, plus semiotic, which is induction, equals to abduction.